Well, hello and welcome back once again to another Betuor Gripley Legacy Heroes Unboxed video. And today I'm coming with an updated version of my beginner's guide. I want to make a quicker version of it that goes through the basics, I would say, for what you need to do or focus on starting off. Now, one thing I want to go over first is the first team you will want to set up will need to be or should be pirates. Now, there's a couple of different variations to this team, but my own personal recommendations for who to focus on are Scarlet, Redbeard, Bart, Argenta, and Darwin. Those are all easy enough to come by. I think maybe the biggest other one maybe could be Valiant, but Valiant and Scarlet both come from the arena store, so to buy one, you're kind of missing out on the other. So I would say focus more so on Scarlet. I think she works better. Raft Raiders works okay with this team, though you will want Forbidden Island. It just works better. Want to try to get that as soon as possible, though Raft Raiders is okay in the meantime. This team will help you on the weekly gold, not challenge, I think weekly gold events, under the events tab. There's challenges and events, kind of the same thing basically. But you will need these to be able to do that. You only can use pirate figs. A full buck team, in my opinion, works better, so they'll have better synergy with each other. Also, to be able to get more gold in there, you need to have them higher stars, because each consecutive node requires an increase of 1 star. So you will need a full team of 5 to 7 stars to the last node eventually. That'll help you with gold. It also help you out quite a bit in arena, which helps you get more arena figs. Also, lots of gems. That's the main source of gems in this game for free to play. If you can get to first, that's 300 gems a day. I mean, that's kind of hard to do, but hey, a good pirate team will help you get there, or should help you raise more than the random hodgepodge teams others might have, and get you more gold. It will also help you get through Glyph Hunt, which is the Explorers campaign. The other one you might also invest a little bit in is Yorick. I believe he's not that easy to get though early on. I think so through a couple time quests and whatnot. But he counts as an explorer and builder, castle, and pirate. So there's a decent bit of cross use there with him. He's not that great, but you can reuse him a decent amount of places. The next team I would recommend building is a castle team. This will help with Piptown United. So kind of like how Pirates did for Glyph Hunt, this help you with the other campaign to get through. Of course, also an extra team to help you get through Glyph Hunt, which is one that allows anybody. Might be good if the Pirates team doesn't work good, you might swap to the Castle one. We help you get through that. Help you get through the Scrolls Challenge, which is similar to the Coin Challenge, where each consecutive node needs stronger and stronger figs. Helps you with scrolls. Early on, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. The crunch there is gold, but later gold is not a problem. Scrolls are the cost of leveling up figures gets crazy later on. You'll have a ton of gold with nothing to really spend it on, because you spend it on most things. So they will help you with that. And honestly, kind of it. Pirates, for the most part, beat them in arena, so hey, is what it is. But the figs I would recommend here: Magister is the cool one. Princess Storm possibly might be the best thing to get from the guild store, but it's up to you. King Brutus, also from the arena store, which you want to get pirates, but you can get him from Brixpedition, probably the best fig to get from there, I guess, maybe besides something with your pirate team. But really, you want to be getting the sets more, but you might be able to get him from there. I really like him. Of course, Yorick, you might be able to use him. Verda is an easy one to get. Barnabas and Go-Go are very good early on. And then, while not exactly good, Headley is one you'd probably need to use for the last tier of the Scrolls Challenge. It's not that hard. It's just really early on, it will be impossible to get Magister to 7 stars. There's a decently hard event where you get his last star from. You won't be getting it anytime soon. So you won't be able to use him on that last node, so you have to somebody else. I did it with Headley. There's a couple other things mixed in here, some easier to unlock figs, but those would be the ones I would recommend doing, because they work fairly well with each other. King's Core is an easy one to do early on. They have a good early on set with the Guarded Inn, and that will just help you get through that campaign and get you some more scrolls, so you will want to stop piling those when you actually reach into the scroll crunch later on, because it gets very costly to start leveling up figs, at least scroll wise. Gold, I mean, it's kind of expensive gold wise, but you like see I have tons of gold. It's not that hard to get gold. Then the next team I'd recommend getting in any sort of investment into is Classic Space. That will be sort of your breach point, I guess, from like early game to end game. So like get through like the mid game portion, advancing into better teams. They will beat most early teams, only be beaten by the later teams, which you won't have yet because you'll be very early on. But that is Alan, Andreas, Reed, Jens, and Leo. We kind of had to get some of them from some of the different events, because there's 3 that are event locked, 2 being from the same events. Take a little while to progress and get those, but that's a good entry point for later on. There's also some other teams you might could get that will be do pretty good, that can maybe beat some later game teams, but Space is very beneficial to have. While they're not exactly meta anymore, they have a good bit of resistances to lots of stuff that is later game sort of meta. Their ability to resist most debuffs in the game, and lots of the debuffs they put out and stuff, they're just fairly strong. They can still sort of beat some of the in-game teams. I mean, that's why I used to get that first place in Arena. Today was them plus Jestro, which I mean is a later game thing that you may not have access to, but like they still work fairly well, and I would recommend them to sort of breach into in-game. Now, there's a couple different recommendations, I guess, for in-game, but I'm not going to do those now, because if you're newer, by the time you probably get the Classic Space from this, there will be better things to get by then for in-game. So it kind of is probably going to have changed by then. The other one that might almost be okay investing into is City. You can use them for a weekly challenge as well that gives you set tools and elixirs, so you can level up sets or upgrade set abilities and upgrade fig abilities. It's kind of good, but City's not that great, and that one doesn't have a star restriction on it, so you might be able to fudge it with some other stuff. And I don't know, Monster Butler's technically a City fig. He can lock, I think, at 2 stars. He'll also probably very help with that, because he's new enough that he's power equipped most of the other City figs. I guess besides Gold, but Gold's also new too. There's also a Space one that gives you gear, but hey, if you're going into space for this, you'll be able to start getting it, but it's kind of so-so. It's just random gear, so it might not be good, and it's a little outdated at this point. But a couple other things I want to also mention before this one's over. Some things I would recommend looking out for that'll be very helpful for later. Jestro, low unlock cost. I believe he only unlocks at 2 stars. They gave him away originally for the Halloween event or Halloween update we've had recently at the time of recording this. Might not for future runs, but he might be in the store. He wasn't for that one, but at a low unlock cost like that, you save up some gems, burn that on a bunch of energy, looting nodes, get a bunch of currency. You might be able to buy him and unlock him. Similar for Santa, although he is actually in the store and he's only a 1-star unlock, so you only need 10 tiles. I believe each purchase is like 5 tiles, so you need to only spend like 5,000 event currency. Not hard to do to unlock him. I think he's 2,500 event currency or event currency. So that's not that hard to get. Both of these will be very good early on. I think maybe Santa more so than Jestro, but Jestro also will be pretty good. But the low unlock cost, both are pretty strong for various different reasons. They're ones I would try to unlock if at all possible whenever their stuff comes back. Gonna really benefit from getting those early on. Then let's see, there was a couple other people down here that were also very sort of nice, if I remember correctly. Scully and Grim Helmer, which is down here, they're not too bad. I think there's 65 power unlock cost. They're from an event you can get to fairly easy if you spend. They're a good attacker. They will probably be very useful early on. I believe they also like kill on kill or something along those lines. I don't know what their exact stuff is. But they're very good. And they'll be an okay tank early on. You might put them in your castle team. If you put them in your castle team, you might use them in arena. But they're not too bad to get. I would say the no real node restrictions on them to actually do those. You can get them fairly early on, and they're fairly useful. Don't really invest much in Ghostbusters. They have inflated total awesomeness. They're not really that great. They don't have a healer. They die very quickly. They do burst damage. It says they're good for Ninjago. They're not. Just don't really touch them too much. It's better stuff to invest in. I guess if you really like them, but they're going to fall off hard. Much harder than I think most other things in this game do. And then the last other one, well, I mentioned Monster Butler. He's a 2-star unlock as well. Might be worth doing for City if you can get him next time Alumni Days runs. Might be worth unlocking him. I think he's only cost 30 tiles to unlock. Not too bad. He might be very useful to have for a City team because he's just new enough to be useful. And then there's also Royce and Lionel, whatever Lionel that hit. I think Lionel will probably be the better one. I think he's also a 2-star unlock, also from Alumni Days. Might be good to have also for an early King's Court Castle team. He's fairly good. I mean, he does good damage even at the point I have him at. So he might be a good one to get early on. You might be able to do so if you save up some gems and like buy him out of the store with currency that you have spent gems on energy to be able to convert into that. It's a little bit of a process, but I think it'll be kind of a good one to do if you like Castle. I'm a Castle simp, so yeah, there's that. But he might be an okay one to do early on too. And one last thing I want to mention is total awesomeness. Lots of people say it's a big deal, and I guess it kind of is to a degree. I don't exactly agree with them for the same reasons, but others will say so, and I do want to go over a little bit of that. Your total awesomeness is basically time you level up a fig or a set, it increases in awesomeness, kind of like the power ranking of them. It's some formula based off of like defense, health, yada yada yada. And the more you have, the higher your total awesomeness is. And that's not your total awesomeness. This is just of your figs. Your sets get added in there as well. I think they maybe add maybe 5,000. You have to completely leveled up or something like that. So you can be higher than this. But basically, the two main things it affects is Expedition difficulty to a degree. And your tournament rank. You basically get put into tournaments with people with similar total awesomeness to you. So if you don't invest in a wide roster, just invest like tall instead of wide, you will probably be stronger than lots of the people in there. But it's still kind of like a time thing. So just because you're in like a weaker one doesn't really mean too much. You still might get terrible rewards if everybody does it before you get up in the morning. The mode honestly sucks. But you might also run into some stuff that the figs that you invested in can't really beat because some teams hard counter each other. So even then, personally, I think it might be better to have more of a wide roster than a tall roster. So it gives you some more options, but much more, not try hard, but I can't think of a better word at this time for it. Players will say that if you want to like really get the most for your money, I guess, out of it, you will do it for that to keep your total awesomeness low so you can beat your opponents a lot easier and get more rewards. Like I said, they can still beat you to that due to time. And the other one is Expedition, but basically the higher your total awesomeness, the tougher things you will face level wise. And now you can still face some of the toughest teams in the game and have a low total awesomeness, but they'll just be lower level. But you can still face in-game Santa, Andreas, Gold, Jestro, and Chili teams early on. They'll just be weaker, but you won't be able to really beat them. Having a higher total awesomeness makes the max possible level those figs are in there higher. So you'll never be able to really out-level most of the stuff. They'll always, at least near the end, be as tough as you, if not tougher, to keep it challenging. If there's a couple of achievements you can do that, like you have to not lose a fig or not use any heal kits, med kits, whatever they call it for that mode. And it's helpful for that to complete those two, though later on you'll be able to do it fairly easy. That mode hasn't been updated with new figs in quite a while, so it's kind of easy to do. But having a higher total awesomeness, yes, you use other figs. Also, that's kind of, I'd say, the main point besides the guild store and joining a guild is having some shared figs to be able to use for that mode. So you get like a good strong fig from an ally in there. You can complete that node fairly easily. So it's kind of an easy thing to get through, even still with a high awesomeness, in my opinion. you can make up your mind for that, what you want to do. Go tall, go wide, up to you. Although granted, there's also lots of figs in here that's really not worth investing in. So maybe early on, but it depends on how hard you want to go at the game, because you might be a little bit slow in the beginning, not investing into certain figs, because you might want to invest in them to progress further. But like I said, that's up to you. Make up your own mind with that. All of me, if you want to ask me, I can give my opinion too, but it depends on what the person wants there. I'll leave that up to you. And I think that's really it for this beginner's guide. There's other things I'd like to go over as well, but I want to keep this one short. Hopefully this one's actually over under 10 minutes. I think like it's probably over at this point. But oh well, I just want to cover some of those basic teams to sort of invest in. Might do a later game one, but the later game stuff's going to change quite a bit, because there's always adding in new figs. Granted, the best team is still sort of a hodgepodge of all the best figs in the game. There's no real extra strategy there. It's just put Unga Bunga on the team with Unga Bunga and Bunga the Unga. But yeah, one last thing I will say, if you want a guild, mine is almost always looking for new people. It's Classic Community Alliance, a guild for people of any skill level, player level, account level, time level. Like if you don't have that much time to invest in the game, no problem. No big deal with any of that stuff. There is a Discord, though it is also linked in the description below. It's on my channel's Discord, just a subsection of that. I'll just keep it all in one place, make it easier. If you would like to join, feel free to do so. That's Classic Community Alliance. Hey, feel free to join that. Like I said, you don't have to worry about Brickspedition. We'll share like all the good figs, whatever figs you kind of want. Feel free to ask. I'll be happy to share anything I have at the time. So I guess with that, this is really it for this video. I hope this beginner's guide has been helpful for you, and I hope it has covered stuff that is actually helpful, or some questions you might have. Plan on doing some future ones later to go over other topics like the shop and other things, and maybe even show off some examples of some of the teams I recommended in free training, such as the Castle team and the Pirates team. So until then, Betuor Gripley signing off. Goodbye and one for day. Bye bye.